Okay.
And then we're live. And then I'm going to hit go live on Facebook. I don't know if it'll go. But anyway, welcome everybody. It's Mari-Lyn here at Hard at Work. And we're at the podcast, Impactful Legacy. And I'm here with Joanne Weiland. And I'm still trying to get the video going for Facebook. But says hit the button and nothing's happening. So I don't know. Waiting to go live. Okay, well, I guess it's not going to work. So anyway, but we'll just carry on our conversation. If it records, it records. If it doesn't, that's okay too. So anyway, welcome, Joanne, and thank you for joining me on the call today. So appreciate it. And tell me a little bit about how you got started, what you're doing, because you have quite the story.
Well, thank you, Mari-Lyn, and thank you for inviting me. I feel privileged to be on the call. And I started it just because of the fact for 20 years I traveled. I lived on the road back in the day when you physically went to visit people.
Right.
Not even just before coronavirus, but in those days you really did go visit your customers. And I traveled over 1,000,000 miles, so I met lots of business owners, executives, entrepreneurs, but they all had incredible ideas.
Right.
But only about 5% of them implemented their ideas.
Right.
The 5% that did hired somebody like you, a coach, a consultant, to help them implement their ideas. I wanted to know why the other 95% didn't hire somebody. And I found that they usually worked in their business, not on their business.
Mm-hmm.
So they might have went to one networking meeting a month, maybe a chamber meeting.
Right.
But Mari-Lyn, a lot of times that chamber meeting, they sat with the same 5 people. So
Right.
they really knew 5 people. And again, like I said, I traveled, so I knew people all over the world. I did global alliances since I'm 19. I started selling helicopters all over the world. The point is, I didn't realize most people didn't know that many people.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, isn't there a resource out there that they could find different experts, consultants, coaches, team builders, trainers, facilitators, authors? I could not find one. Now, this is back in the early 2000s.
Right.
And so
internet was probably barely there too, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's when I decided, well, my original mentor was Norman Vincent-Peale, and he always said, if you find a need, fill it.
Yeah.
So I found a need. And so anyway, so that's when I created Commanding View. Commanding View is the parent company, and that was when we did more traditional way, where you find out what the executive needs, the entrepreneur needs, and then you would connect them with the right type of candidate for that particular project. And after a while, I realized it wasn't the best use of my time, the client's time, as well as the expert's time, because I would go to a board meeting, and long story short, they would all have a different idea what made Mari-Lyn the right fit for that project, or or Dennis or whoever I was promoting, and they all had different questions. Did he write a book? Did she have a video? Has he ever been quoted on Inc. magazine? You name it. They would ask me all these questions. So I'd go back to my office and get everybody, call Mari-Lyn and say, please send your book to Harry. Please send your bio to Larry, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, this would take months, okay,
right.
to get all the information to everybody, because a lot of times these experts were traveling as well as I was on different assignments or whatever. So we usually lost the deal because it would take too long, and another project came up that was more pressing, or they lost their funding, blah, blah, blah. So I figured we need to create a platform where they can find the expert when they need them, check out their credentials, and hire them in minutes. So that's when we created the Link to Expert platform in 2007. So they can do that, and they can also do it from anywhere in the world, because now, fast forwarding to that time as well as today, a lot of these boards or committees aren't all in one place like they used to be in one room.
Right.
Now they give the thumbs up or thumbs down from anywhere in the world. So if they can find everything about that expert for their project and do what we call a 7-minute strategy session that they can call to see if they're the right fit,
right,
and it just streamlines everything. Plus, it helps the expert because they just take one time to upload their new books, their new videos, their new blogs, their new podcast interviews with Mari-Lyn or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the people can just download them from anywhere, so that way they can really make a good decision, as well as everything's in one place instead of having to go to YouTube and to a blogger and then to, their website and then to Facebook, blah, blah, blah. So we just have, everybody has their own website within the web portal. And many of our experts even hire other experts because nobody's an expert at everything.
Right.
So anyway, that was my kind of long story short. But that's why I created it.
Yeah. So you just really help connect people with other people, really.
Yes, I've always been a connector. I didn't realize it, but sometimes you are and sometimes you're not. And when I took all those tests of what I wanted to be when I grew up, they kept saying I was a connector.
Well, it sounds like you found your dream job and off you go.
Yes, and I get to meet wonderful people like you. And that was the other part that I really did want, because those 20 years I lived on the road, I always was, like the sponsor or whatever for conferences, conventions, different events. And so I got to hear so many incredible people, whether they're the keynoter, the MC, the breakout session subject matter expert. So I was always learning from them. So I wanted to stay connected to the experts too, because I really do enjoy learning.
Yeah, I think it's really a key important. I mean, that's the thing these days, even, as you know, it's on LinkedIn that everybody's trying to help connect other people together, but there's always a percentage of people that aren't really engaged, and they're wondering why they're not getting any business or likes or comments because they don't know how to do it, or if they know how to do it, oh, well, it's only my content I like. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's not helping you. There's nobody else engaged with you, and so that's always interesting to me about that as well, because that's also connecting only a different level, right? Like you were saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are some of the obstacles? I know you shared already a few ideas about obstacles that your clients or people you work with have. So are there any other main obstacles that you could think of that they may have in this time frame with the virus that we're going through, and any future things you see?
Yes, actually, there's lots of obstacles. I mean, I'm on Zoom like we are now almost every day throughout the day. And literally, it's really interesting because, again, I've been virtual almost all my life, just working out of home and on the plane or hotel or whatever. But most people aren't. And so it's really is challenging for our experts as well, because they were used to doing things live, either speaking or coaching or consulting. And so even them having to do it on Zoom, they don't feel like it's the same energy. They feel like they're not really connecting with their audience, even when they're Zoom, but they can't really feel that energy back and forth. So that's challenging. But I also find, especially the opposite side, because I always feel schizophrenic. One minute I'm talking to the people that want to hire them, people that need to be hired. But the clients, meaning the executives that I work with and entrepreneurs, they also find it very challenging. Believe it or not, today I was talking to one, and she admitted to me she really does not enjoy working at home. She loves to be in the office with her client, her team, and she just feels more connected and like more in control is what I want to say. And I don't mean in a bad way control. Trying to make sure her team is okay. And that's just one example, but many of them too, they tell me, like it's just hard for them to even work, because a lot of them too, don't forget, it's not just working out of your house, but it's what everything that's going on with the virus, and also of course the riots, and so it's just a different time. And I think so many people, if you don't be careful, you get so caught up in the fear of it that you can't focus. And I feel like you have to learn to let go, and not that you don't care about what's happening, but you can't let it consume you.
Right.
And so I really feel like it's interesting during this time, not only are we learning how to work differently, but to even think differently. And I think for so long we were, kind of just going along strong, our like happy hamster wheel, I call it. But you're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden everything came to a stop and it was kind of quiet and people were learning to kind of go inward and be peaceful.
Yeah.
And now in Maryland with all the other stuff going on over the last week,
Yeah.
that it all of a sudden it's a disruption again, and it's like everybody's getting bombarded with, again, fear.
Right.
And so we just have to be so conscious of being aware of our thoughts and our feelings to be able to get through this, because this is the time we can really thrive because
Right.
of the fact that so many people are going into the fear. So if you can give yourself the pep talk, whatever you want to call it, tell yourself it's going to be okay, come up with new ideas, keep marketing yourself, keep out there selling yourself, because of the fact that with so many people not doing it, you can really much easier stand above the crowd.
Right.
And I know that sounds weird but I came from sales and marketing, but a lot of people they think that this isn't the time. And I talked to some people, they haven't done anything for 3 months. There's nothing wrong with that. That's their business. But what are they going to do once it starts again? Start from scratch,
Yeah. Yeah, because this time and frame, I think somebody said to me a long time ago, this is a great time to keep branding, keep marketing yourself, keep reaching out, even if it's just talking to your past customers, even if it's just keep talking to your friends. It's just all about staying connected. And because we may not be able to go outside, and maybe, unfortunately, we have Zoom and things like that, that we can still put a face to the other person that we maybe never have met, but now we get to see them face to face, right? And I always find that video is a great opportunity to have instant rapport versus then just audio,
I agree, but I'm a hugger, so I would like to hug you now.
Yeah, I would too, but I just it is what it is. And so we just have to keep reminding ourselves that everything is working out, even though sometimes we don't think it is. It is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are some things that you're able to help people with now that even before the virus, or where we are now in this time frame?
Well, the big thing is, this even happened way before this, but probably back in 2008 or so, when the economy tanked, a lot of people really got downsized or right-sized. So Maryland, a lot of what we call the experts got let go, because usually, in all fairness, they weren't utilized all the time anyway. They had such an area of expertise that they might have only did that particular type of project 3 months out of the year, and then the other 9 months the employer paid their salary, which was higher, but they didn't really utilize their talents. So now, with them getting laid off, again, for the last 10, 12 years, they had to learn to market themselves, to start promoting what they did, because a lot of them too were either my age or whatever, the boomers, and they didn't always want to go back to corporate America. And so the way we can help them, because the other part of it, not just they can hire you, but you also need to, and you hit on it earlier, what we call be seen, be heard, and be known worldwide. Because a lot of times these executives, don't forget, 95% of them only knew 5 people. So they didn't know about intelligence coaching or whatever it is, again, that your expertise is. So I, remind our members all the time, you have to explain to people what you can do to help them grow their company, what you can do to help them professionally. Because a lot of people, they were not exposed to all this stuff. They're not always learning. And not that I'm knocking them, but if we don't tell them in easy ways, like being on an interview with you and explaining these things, they have no idea. My mentor taught me back in the early 2000s something that really changed my life. He said, Joe, it doesn't matter how many people you know, because I was really proud of knowing all these people from the world. And he says, it matters who knows you and what you can do for them.
Right.
I was like, what? But it's true. Think about it. If people don't know who you are and what you can do for them, why would they call you? And so that's one of the other reasons I created Link Expert, because I wanted it to make a platform, because not just does everybody have a website, but we then distribute your content to the world for
Right.
you.
Right.
Because most experts are good again at whatever they do, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not good at that. And I've been a connector, so I know actually
Yeah.
last 2 magazines we sent out to 317,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just who I know, but it's who we know together.
Right.
So we created this collaborative cloud community to
Mm-hmm.
be able to repost each other's stuff, retweet each other's stuff, send
Yeah.
out the emails. And it's taken me, like I say, since 2007 to
Mm-hmm.
get this far, but it takes a long time to get that many connections.
Right. Right. And what you were just saying earlier reminded me of a time that way back, oh my gosh, I don't even want to, I don't even remember what year it was. It was in the later part of the 1990s. And I had a business partner, and we used to teach, because I think that's almost when the market crashed or somewhere around there, not the 80s, but a little later. And where people didn't know what to do. So kind of like that's where we are again. Some people don't know what to do, right? So we ended up writing a book about how to build your own business. And then we would go out and do workshops for those people that were interested in doing that. We would teach them how to get started. And so kind of what you were just saying is what you do is you take them a step further and really help promote them and work with them to really market themselves. Sounds like that. Am I far off on that or not?
No, you're right on, but I do want to clarify that they do have to prove that they have that expertise, meaning there is a
Yes.
qualification
Yeah.
process. Because just like right now with everybody getting laid off,
Yeah.
we can't have somebody that just got laid off say they're now a coach.
Right.
And I'm not even saying they're not one. I'm
Yeah.
just saying we're telling people they're the experts. So they have
Right.
to have about 10,000 hours of
Right.
real time, whether it's even in a corporate, but whatever their expertise is, but
Right.
that they really have to have been doing it for a while, not just because they got laid off.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. So it's a different starting point. You're at the very mature starting point, and what I was doing is at the very beginning starting point.
But we need that too, because a lot of
Yeah.
our experts are doing what you just described.
Yeah.
They're teaching people how to start a business. So it's not that we won't help them. It's
Yeah.
just that we're not going to market them.
Right.
But our experts often, is their niche to help
Right.
someone else.
Right. Right.
Whether it be, to help them with capital, or whether to help them with their new branding, or to put their team
Mm-hmm.
together. So we still need that. It's just they do that versus link
Yeah.
text.
Yeah. It's just more graduated. It's a higher level.
Right.
And like you were saying, the people that maybe, not that any of them I helped start up their businesses, they're working with you, but just saying that back then there's a startup mentality, and with you,
Right.
you're taking those people that have all the expertise and helping them connect
Yeah.
to other people. But I totally could be totally off base, but you
Oh
can
no, you're
explain.
absolutely right. You got it.
Yeah, so it's just you're just the connector, and I love that about you. And I love connecting people too, but but you've made it into, like you said, you found a niche and filled that. So
Right.
that's so cool. That's so cool. So what type of people do you really like to work with then, leading into that?
Well, all different. Sometimes I feel schizophrenic, Mari-Lyn, because in fact, like today, my day started off with a group of people that we actually do get together every Thursday morning at 7:30, and we actually are there for each other to uplift each other.
Yeah.
And then like just say the next call, and I don't know if it is the exact order, but then I talked to a gentleman that he works with the media for the last 38 years, and he's connected to like 4 million people.
Right.
Meaning that he works with all these media outlets. So we work with him to get our experts too on
Mm-hmm.
some of these publications and newspapers, and he has like 600 radio shows and stuff like that.
Wow.
So then I'm working with the media. Then the next call I'm making with maybe our members, that encouraging them to write more blogs, write more articles, be on more interviews, because we're always working with the media. Like, I think we have a list of 650 podcasters in our
Right.
Link to Expert database, because we want people to be on shows like yours,
Right.
because of the fact that a lot of people, just like you were saying earlier, they want to hear about that expert, but they want to watch it on a video or whatever,
Right.
instead of reading their book or reading their 60-page white paper or whatever.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, we ask them then to put it on their Links to Expert website, because that way we distribute it. But also, when people are deciding if they want to hire them, they can just listen to the interview with Mari-Lyn
Right.
and learn a lot about that person.
Right.
So then the next call I'm on, like I was saying earlier about, those executives, and, that they're struggling too, trying to figure out how to keep their businesses going with their employees working remotely. And, we
Right.
were discussing ways that we could, encourage them to, like, reach out to their team too, to show they care. And so,
Yeah.
like, one thing we suggested was like having a Wednesday meeting on Zoom, like we were doing, and just letting them know, hey, what's going on, what's your high point this week, what's your low point, what did you do to do self-care this week, just showing your team that we know that it's not easy right now. So that's why I say I feel schizophrenic. And then I work with event professionals. We just had one yesterday that wants one of our experts to speak in Japan in January.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I feel like, my all over the world all the time. So it's just interesting. Never a dull moment, put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, and of course you really enjoy what you're doing, so that makes a big difference too. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, any couple of tips you'd like to share with people, and if they want to reach out to you, or how you like to work with, or share whatever you'd like to do as we're wrapping up the last.
Oh, well, thank you, Mari-Lyn. Well, people like you, people like, meaning that want to be known as the expert. And the reason I say that, because a lot of people are the expert, but they don't always want to be known.
Right.
They don't want the message amplified. They don't want to be magnified in front of the crowd. I read recently that Oprah interviewed 37,000 people already, and there's only two things that they had in common. The two things were that they wanted to be seen and they wanted to be heard.
Right.
And it's funny because I just read that, and our tagline for the last 10 or so years has been be seen, be heard, be known worldwide with these. Because we really do want the people that do want to be seen and be heard, because if they don't, we really can't help them, because they have to still write the content.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or provide the content, and we can have assistants make it sound good, because believe me, I write mine and I have somebody that rewrites it to make me look good. So, like, even the stuff I sent you, that Cindy, my assistant, makes me look good. But the point is, if they want to be seen and be heard and be known all over the world, we can gladly help them. But they really do, have to be then committed to create content, like to be on your interview.
Right.
Just as an example, I think the other part that people don't realize is you have to do it consistently and frequently.
Right.
Because a lot of people think they're going to write one blog and the whole world knows who they are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but it doesn't. But I try to be upfront with people and tell them, you really should write something every week, or be on an interview like this, or, do something, have a workshop coming up, promote that. Whatever it is, write a book, and then you have that coming out. A new workbook, a new e-course, whatever, because you can sell all your products and services on Link to Expert too. We actually have 181 different ways you can make money as an expert. But again, you have to still create it. Passive income, you still have to do something actively to create the passive income. So a lot of ours is passive income, but again, you have to do that. But we also work with so many organizations that help you do that. Ghostwriters, publishers, recording studios, videographers, you name it, they're all listed again to experts. So you don't have to worry. We don't hide anything. We always publish it right there on the platform, just so that whoever is looking can find them. And they usually have an exclusive offer So we're just always looking for ways to help you be known as the expert,
Right.
and for, of course, the people to find you and you look good, because really we all know if you look better, they're going to take you serious and want to hire you versus say, wow, what did you do lately? And then, no, but some people will do that too.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, I was in the magazine article in 2002, and you're like, well, that's great, but what have you done for the last 8 years, So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons I started this podcast, was really to uplift the people that are leading, but they just need more awareness, and to help those that are looking for this type of service, or, like a workplace consultant or an expert or a coach that would help them in the workplace. And we can always learn. I learned so much from everybody that I interviewed with, and some of us are all in the same space, but that's okay, because we all have their own expertise, and we all have different ways that we share it and we do it, right? So,
well,
you know,
that's true. And another thing people don't realize, because I used to, when I did the traditional ways in
yeah,
2002, I would think I would know who would be the perfect fit for that
hmm,
organization. And I was always surprised, Mari-Lyn, that it wasn't. But the thing I found, I didn't know their culture.
right,
And if you don't know their culture, you don't know who's going to be the right fit for that culture.
right,
And so there's so many things behind the scenes, or believe it or not, this is why video also is so important.
right,
They would tell me, because back then we didn't have as much video,
yeah,
but they would tell me, when I first met Mari-Lyn, I knew within the first minute she was the right person
yeah,
for this project. Some people call it, that first impression,
yeah,
but it's like the energy. If your
yeah,
energy flows with that, they're going to probably pick you for that project.
right,
So a lot of times you can even have the same type of education and even similar experience, but they're going to know by that energy or whatever they see on that video. That's why, again,
yeah,
really recommend that they be on as many interviews as possible,
hmm,
because of the fact that people can tell if you're genuine, if you're authentic,
right,
if you're really doing what people, what you say, walking the walk.
yeah,
So I really think that people don't realize it either, but they might think, oh, everybody's doing that. Well, that's okay. You still have, like you said earlier, your
yeah,
own branding, your own
yeah.
style, your own way of doing it that is going to stand out to certain people.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I started, I've been doing the video podcasts now for a while, and somebody says, "Why do you do video?" Because they didn't want to be on the camera, and I says, "Well, I think for several reasons. One is that you have the instant rapport with somebody else, and like you were saying, you can get the energy. The energy comes through, right? And then if
Right,
they get that energy, that person, hey, I want to work with her. I like her
right,
energy, or I want to work with him, and I like what he's saying. Then they're going to reach out to you. But
right.
if you're just doing audio, you kind of have to really listen to hear what they're saying. So I think for video podcasts, and more and more people are doing video now anyway, but it gives you that instant rapport, that credibility, and everything else that's ahead of you, right? And so then later I said, okay, well, I'm going to make this audio too. So what I end up doing is taking the video, put it on YouTube, and then I have the audio file, and then I put it on like iTunes and things like that. For some people, they like to listen and multitask, you know.
Right. Or
So
they listen while they're driving or working
yeah,
out. I find that too. So that's
yeah,
why I always tell them too, repurpose everything, audio, video, writing, really repurpose all your messages, because you don't know who's going to watch it or listen to it or read it.
yeah, yeah. It's so key. And it, just like you were saying, when you're marketing yourself, you're being the expert. You have to kind of be seen and be available. It's not something that you can just show up once a year. Yeah,
Right,
people know me.
exactly.
But anyway, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us, Joanne. I so enjoy your energy, and I'm sure that you provide wonderful services for people. So last minute, how can people get a hold of you before I forget?
They can go to linktoexpert.com, link LINK2TO expert, EXPERT.com, or they can call us at 727-791-7338. That's 727-791-7338. And if they want to email, just info@LinkTexpert.
Yeah, right, right. And of course, you'll see Joanne on the podcast page. I'll have a page there, and you can find out more information about her social media links and everything else that she's active at. And so thank you for joining me today, Joanne. So I appreciate you showing up and having a great afternoon. I know it's dinner time for you, so you're probably starving. So I'm going to let you go. And in the meantime, we'll chat with you very soon. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And don't forget, everybody, be kind to each other. Kindness matters and Black Lives Matter. Thank you.